Okay, this tutorial is going to be the basics of placing text and images in your InDesign document. So familiarize yourself again with what the InDesign workspace looks like. You have your tools over to the left, which remember you can place in one or two columns by adjusting those settings. Your menus are up here at the top. Your panels are over here to the right, and those can be expanded or collapsed or rearranged however you prefer to have them. If you want a different group of panels, remember you can go to this menu and switch, say, to Expanded Classic or whatever you're working with. Remember that you can grab a panel by its tab that has its name in it and rearrange it on your panels list. So if they're in multiple layers and you want to put them all in one column, you can just drag and move them like that. Down here we have our control bar, and notice I've got a bit of a problem in that the active part of this control bar, where I have to grab it in order to move it, is outside of the frame of my screen. Same thing with the new contextual toolbar. I can't just grab it anywhere and move it. You have to move by grabbing a certain handle at the very left side of it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So here we are adding text, and I just clicked the text button on the contextual menu, and it turned my cursor into the text tool, and then I can type in it directly inputting my text, and I can adjust it using these different options in the contextual bar here. It's called contextual because it changes depending on what you have selected. So I can move it, I can grab a selector tool, and I can move the frame that contains this text. Or here I'm grabbing the text tool directly, clicking and dragging to create a text frame. Now I go to the type menu, and there's an option called fill with placeholder text. It's near the bottom down here. When I select that, it's going to automatically fill my frame with nonsense text. And this is what you do as a placeholder until you have your final copy to go in there. Remember, you can make different adjustments using the different selection tools. We'll get into what those do with text boxes more in a future tutorial. Okay, so now I have selected a frame tool. And you know that it's a frame, not a shape, because it has that X in it. I'm again going to the contextual bar and selecting place image. That brought up this window. It automatically defaults to importing from Creative Cloud. But you can see here I've just selected an image in Creative Cloud. You can make adjustments and then hit place. Now here's what you do if you don't have images in Creative Cloud. I'm going to make a circular frame this time. Notice I'm using the ellipse tool and it has an X in it. Clicking place image in the contextual bar. And here, instead of clicking from Creative Cloud, I'm going to say choose on computer. Remember that InDesign prefers JPEG files, so you don't want to use, say, a PNG. You want to grab a JPEG file and place it, and there it is. And notice that the image and the frame are two different items. I can adjust the frame by selecting the border, the anchor points on the border, and moving those around. But if I click that little circle, that little donut in the middle of my frame, I can adjust the image. I can move it around behind the frame. I can change its size behind the frame, all those sorts of actions. Now I'm publishing it online. I went to the File menu and selected Publish Online. That brought me this menu. I click Publish. And this window comes up. I can copy the link, say OK, and then paste that link into a web browser. And I can see an online web version of the document that I can share with anyone. In Publish Online, however, they can't edit or make changes. Now remember I talked about the toolbar problem. See here, it only moves when I grab it by the very left-hand side. So the trick to this is if it gets stuck outside your frame, you need to save your work, shut down InDesign, and restart it. And it should be back within the frame when you restart. You can also adjust the different things that you have in your toolbar. So if you just want to have some of your favorites or things that you can't remember where they're located in the other things, you can customize whatever goes in this toolbar. And then remember, you can also customize where you put it. Just don't put it off screen because it will get stuck. Here, notice that I've put it on top of the contextual bar, which has an option to pin. So I can select pin, grab it by the left, and move it somewhere on my screen where I want it to stay. So let's put it there. You can also, it'll automatically pin it, but then you can toggle between pin and unpin if you want to move it again. So I've pinned my contextual bar there, and I put my control strip down here at the bottom. What else? Let's auto-generate an image. I'm going to make a frame using the tool, the polygon tool, which will ask me for size, width, number of stars, and how far they are inset. You manipulate these items to change the shape of your frame to make it any kind of multi-sided frame. I've clicked Generate Image in the contextual bar, and notice that brings up two menus, or two windows. Here, I'm going to put in my text prompt for an image. And I can give it a reference image, make it look like this image. I can also select different kinds of effects, such as charcoal, looking like it's drawn with art charcoals, or say Art Nouveau. I want it to look like Art Nouveau design. This is why we need to know design styles. Agree. It's going to take a minute to generate. So you wait on the AI to generate your image, and it'll give you some variations as well. Okay, so notice it placed the image within this star-shaped frame. In the panel over here, I have 3 different variations that I can also choose from. I can use, when I click on it, some of these helper menus come up to remind me that there's generative expand. So instead of generating an image, I can expand the background to fill the frame. And I'm going to do that using the generate expand. And I'm going to just type in for my prompt, expand. So it's going to start generating again. And it's going to create additional background beyond what my picture was. So say I want that apple to be small, but I want it to be in a giant black field, and the original image isn't like that. With generative expand, it's going to expand the black to fill my frame, just like that, and create a background that actually wasn't there in the original. I also have different options, variations that I can choose from here to pick the one that I like best. And you can revise your prompt and refine it as needed until you get the image that you want. But wait, there's always more ways to do things in Adobe, so real quickly, don't forget that you can also draw a frame, as I'm going to do here, switching back to the rectangle tool. Rectangle frame has an X in it, and then go to the File menu and choose Place. That will bring up this menu again. Choose your computer, scroll through your computer to find an image. It's almost the same as what you did before, except you are starting with the File menu and Place